I was watching last night. I figured I'd watch. I watched Ruby Ridge. I watched the documentary on Ruby Ridge. I watched the doc on Waco, and then I watched the doc on Oklahoma City at the trifecta. I did. I watched all three right in a row. Wham! Right in a fucking row. And by the time you get to the Oklahoma City one, you're looking at Timothy McVeigh and going, just people forget how fucking brutal the early 90s were. That was crazy shit. I mean, the government overreach. We think about it now. They had to figure out the government, the powers that be, the. They had to figure out a way to oppress and overpower the American people without burning them alive with their kids in a building. And we're seeing that now. We are living in an America that went through a time where the military would send tanks and helicopters and bomb your fucking place and burn you alive and kill you. Yes, where they would blow your wife's head off while she's trying to drag a wounded friend and husband into the house. And a government agent will blow the wife's head off right there on the patio. It was astounding, the physical overreach that they took. And I think when all that was considered over time, it got to a point where it's like, we can't do this. People are getting mad. You are emboldening these groups that are saying the government is evil. They are there to take your rights away, oppress you, boot on your neck. And this proves it. I mean, the Ruby Ridge and Waco. And then there was another thing, David, I can't remember his name, not David Koresh. It was an organization called The Order. The Order. Ooh. They named it after the Turner Diaries, the group in the Turner Diaries. And this group went around and robbed banks and killed people. They killed that radio DJ in Colorado, that liberal Jewish radio DJ. Hoo-hoo, Robin. And then they robbed banks. They went to rob an armored car, and they did. And they got a fuckload of money. But one of the head guys dropped his pistol out of his waistband. And when he left, they found it. And we're able to trace that back to where these fuckers were. And a lot of them left, but he stayed and did a standoff thing. And again, somehow the house just caught on fire. And he burnt alive in there. It's somehow, I don't know. You got tanks going around and tear gas and all kinds of shit. And then it bursts into flames. I don't know. So they had to go to a method where the propaganda had to be, the media got involved. It was just a way of controlling people through lying to them. And the COVID episode was a good way to test people to see how malleable they are and what they'll put up with. And I'm not saying that's the reason it was introduced. I'm just saying, look, you use every opportunity that's available to reach your final goal there. And if the powers that be in this country decided they needed a good test to see how much shit Americans will take, that was a great opportunity. And they probably had it penciled down going, hey, if we ever have an emergency here, whether it's a natural disaster, hurricanes, tornadoes, everything, we need to use every one of these to push back a little on the people and see how much they'll take. And COVID comes around and they go, holy fuck, this is great. Now we could see if we can make them wear masks every fucking day for years, literally close their businesses down, tell them they can't go to family, they can't get together with their families. What a great opportunity to see how far the government can push our fucking asses. You don't think? I think. So, yeah, they kind of made that turn from genuine movie-style oppression, military, the jackboots, to this more 1984 psychological. And I think that is more dangerous. I think what we're dealing with now is more dangerous because half the country, at least half the country, believes the lies. With Waco, when more info came out about what happened and other options that might have been available, and the fact that 25 little kids were burned to death with something like 80 or so adults, you have to start thinking that something fucked up there. There's something evil about your own government when they're willing to let 25 kids burn alive. By the way, 3 kids shot in that school. 3 kids. Tragic. And we will hear all the politicians talking about gun control and this, that, and the other thing. 25 children were burned to death by the American government, by the United States government. And what happened there? What happened there? As far as I remember, everyone in charge was able to serve out the rest of their terms. Bill Clinton, what's her name? Janet Reno. Janet Reno's the one that signed off on it, that big dyke woman. She signed off on it. It was an ego thing. The FBI and ATF and the hostage negotiation team, they all were getting pressure from the media by saying, why is this going on so long? What are you doing? What, you don't have the power to take down a little compound full of people and kids and whatnot? And their egos made them start lobbing tear gas in there and crushing David Koresh's cars. Right out in front of the compound, they had all these cars. And David Koresh had this El Camino, this red El Camino that he loved, apparently. And they just ran it over with tanks. They just ran their shit over. And that is just, when you are, I would guess, and I'm no hostage negotiator, unless how I talk to my chicks in their bed. I fucking, hey, please. I say please a lot. I'm no hostage negotiator, but I don't think crushing a guy's prized vehicle out in front of his house with a tank is a good way to build rapport and trust with somebody you're trying to get to release 25 children. This is insane. I honestly say, you need to watch these documentaries in that order, by the way. In that order. Ruby Ridge, Waco, Oklahoma City. Because by the time you get to the prison interviews with Timothy McVeigh, goddamn, and there is no condoning what he did. Again, a shitload of children died in that building. The Murrah building in Oklahoma City. Directly because of Timothy McVeigh, a lot of people and a fuckload of kids died a horrible death. So there's no condoning it. But if you don't watch those 3 documentaries and hear everything that was happening in the early 90s, early to mid 90s like that, you're fooling yourself to not understand why he would think this and do this. To at least have an understanding that this guy was far from crazy. Timothy McVeigh, like, oh, what nut would do that? A nut, I don't think, would do that. That guy was very thought out and in his mind had an absolute fucking reason for doing what he did. Horrible, horrible thing that he did. But again, there's a difference between understanding what he did was horrible and understanding his take on why he did it. And I think that's why we're living in the world we're living in today, where it's much more of a psychological oppression and the virtual knee on your neck and what have you, unless you're,